Welcome back to All Things Money. I'm David Blain, and in today's mailbag segment, we're going to answer a couple questions from viewers that we've gotten over the past week. But before I do, before the break, we were talking about the creep of state and federal governments into the requiring businesses to collect their taxes for them. Well, here's another one that you may not be aware of. If you're in business, make sure you talk to your tax advisor about this. But effective January 1st, 2010, North Carolina Department of Revenue Directive PD 10-1 requires a payer to withhold North Carolina income tax of 4% from non-wage compensation paid to either a non-resident individual or non-resident entity for personal services performed in North Carolina, or for an individual tax identification number, ITIN, holder who is a contractor and not an employee for services performed in North Carolina. I'm not going into all the details, but once again, this is a new requirement imposed on businesses to once again withhold money that is due to contractors and send it to the state government, and now it puts the burden on the individual to try to get their money back from the state. It forces the businesses to collect the tax for the state and submit them. Once again, this is a very disturbing trend that's going on in the collection of taxes. Okay, so now let's go on to our mailbag. We received an email from a listener who's curious about a speculative form of investing called short selling. And first of all, I would correct his thing. It's not necessarily any more speculative than a lot of other types of investing, but we'll get to that. Her question was, how can someone sell a stock they don't own and make a profit by buying it back at a lower price? And this is a great question, and to the topic of short selling. In the financial meltdown a couple of years ago, in 2008, there was a lot of criticism of short sellers and how they were destroying the bank stocks and things like that. So let's talk a little bit about that. Short selling is, let's say you have a brokerage account at a broker such as Charles Schwab or Merrill Lynch, and you have what's called a margin account. And this margin account allows you to essentially borrow money from the broker. And so let's say you deposit $10,000 in your account. I'm not going to go into the requirements of margin purchasing, but let's just say that then you go out and you sell Bank of America stock. Let's say you sell 100 shares of Bank of America stock. Well, wait, you don't own it. No, what you're actually doing is you're borrowing the stock from the broker. You're borrowing it, and you're going to pay interest on the amount that you borrowed, and then you're selling it on the market. And so what happens is, let's say it's trading at $10 a share, and you sell 100 shares. Well, you're going to get $1,000 put in your account for borrowing that stock and then selling it. You're going to get $1,000. Well, what the short seller wants is they want the price of the stock to go down. They've already received their money for selling the stock at $10 a share. And let's say, 2 weeks from now it's down to $8 a share. Well, they actually borrowed those shares from the broker. So what they do is they go out into the stock market. It's trading at $8 a share. They have 100 shares, remember, so they spend $800. They buy those 100 shares from the market, and they give them back to the broker. And they say, thank you for loaning me the 100 shares. Here's your 100 shares back. Well, what happened was they originally sold them for $10 a share, and then they bought them back at $8 a share. So they made $200 profit without ever actually owning the stock. And so what a short seller is trying to do is he is in essence, betting that the price of the stock is going to go down and they're going to profit from it. Okay, so when stocks are declining and all the short sellers are selling the stock, people claim that it has a tendency to drive the price down. Well, in a lot of the professional circuits, short selling serves a very valuable function. It helps the process of market discovery and the price become very accurate. If you have people that think the price is going down, well, why not let them put their money to work on that side of the equation, and people that think it's going up can buy the stock. And so there's been a lot of litigation, or I'm sorry, not litigation, but a lot of new rules that have come out around this. But today's question, I just wanted to answer how short selling works and not go into sort of a lot of the details of it. But that's basically how it works, is you borrow the stock from your broker, you sell it, receive the proceeds. Later, when the stock goes down in price, hopefully, you purchase it back and return the borrowed shares. Our second question comes from a couple, and they were interested in starting a college savings plan. And they were asking about Section 529 plans, education savings accounts, and things like that. And first of all, congratulations on your new baby that you had, and anybody out there. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. As far as saving for college, this is a great question. A Section 529 savings plan, named after the section of the code that allows them, they are run by the states. And each state has a little bit different plan. Some states allow tax deductions for the contributions, some do not. Some have very good investment choices, some do not. But each state is free to have their own state plan. This does not mean that if you're in the North Carolina 529 plan, you have to go to school in North Carolina. You can use that money to go to any school that you want. And so what happens is a parent or grandparent or somebody puts money into the 529 plan. The money is invested in stocks or bonds or their various choices. And as the money grows, similar to an IRA, that the funds grow tax-free. When you withdraw the money for educational expenses, once again, it is tax-free. The educational savings account, the main difference between the educational savings account and a 529 plan, the educational savings account can be used for any type of education. So, for example, if you send your child to St. Paul's or Epiphany here in New Bern, those private schools, you could use money from an education savings account to pay for that private school. One thing that I'd encourage parents to look at is simply saving money on their own in just a regular taxable account. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to save money in a specialized college account. In fact, a lot of people are finding out that the tax advantages that are promoted for these are not materializing because the funds are simply not growing enough. So there's nothing wrong with not using one and just saving money separately. So that's about all the time that we have for tonight. I hope you enjoyed our look at taxes tonight. Well, certainly not the last time we'll take a look at it. So for All Things Money, this is David Blain. Thanks for joining us, and we hope that you'll tune in next week for another exciting show.
The proceeding was a paid program. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WNBU and Inner Banks Media.